wabarakatuh.
Walaikum Salam.
Today we are here with Juna Faisal Sahab, who is a secretary and correspondent of Islamia Women's College, Wannimbadi, and he's also been a very active public personality in the Wannimbadi town. So we will be interacting with him to know about his personal life as well as public life. Without much further ado, we'll go to Faisal Sahab. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program, Faisal Sahab.
Walaikum Salam rahmatullah.
So we will start with your public life, personal life first. You had a very early childhood in different cities. You were born, I think, in Wannimbadi, and then you moved to Chennai and then to Bangalore for various levels of schools education, I think. So please speak on that. What have been your particular experience about moving from place to place?
Actually, I was born in Wannimbadi, but brought up in Chennai. Total, right from, you can call it from pre-KG up to 9th standard. 10th standard and 11th I did in Wannimbadi, and again went back to New College. And Bangalore is only my father's place. It's there. I did not study there in Bangalore at all. But we have a house there in Bangalore, and it's originally we are from Bangalore from father's side. For mother side is from Wannimbadi.
So how was your college years in your college?
Excellent. It was very excellent at that time. And Bukhari Sahab was the principal, the great stalwart, and was Maulana Bukhari. Then other person, he retired after 1 year. But it was a very nice, excellent experience. By the time there was no evening college and only day college, the number of students were very less. It was very peaceful, very nice. I stayed in hostel also. It was very nice. It was day college, and stand-up education was also very good like that.
So
in Wannimbadi, I did my 10th and 11th. That's all.
How did you transition? Just after graduating from the college, how did you transition to where you are today, basically? So how did you get into business? How did you get into the public service?
Right. Business is actually I did not get into business first. I was once in Oriental Insurance in Chennai. Actually in Bangalore I was appointed, but I got transferred to Chennai, and then later on I went to, after 5-6 years, I went to Libya for 1 full year, and from Libya I came back, stayed here, and then again I went for 5 years to Jeddah. But all this time I was only in the insurance field, in the British insurance field and Indian insurance like that. After that, the business was there. We were going on with doing it. It is a hereditary business. My grandfather and all, they were all tanners, and we continued to do this. In Chennai we had office also like that. So we continued with that business.
So I imagine for during the time of Gaddafi,
Yes.
So at that time I imagine it must have been like peaceful country, not?
No, not at all. It's Gaddafi was one of my favorite world leaders. I was impressed by his photograph in Times magazine. I saw him praying with his boots on in the desert. That was the first impression of Gaddafi I had. But I went there, it was totally different culture, different concept. He was, instead of Hadith and Quran, he was more concentrating on a book called Green Book. It was, people were terrified of him. Every house had one spy who will go and report to them, and people will disappear just like that. Total dictatorship, and he was spending all the nation's wealth of developing the people. He spent on arms and ammunition, buying from Russia, and whole money was transferred there. And he was asking everyone to lead a simple life, but he himself was crook, very crook. People were terrified of him. Libyans were terrified of him. And I'll tell you one incident. I was sitting in a mosque. Tabligh Jamaat from India and Pakistan, they came there in the bus. After Jummah prayer, I was very happy to see a Tabligh Jamaat there. So from India, I just went and sat there. One of my friend came, and after 5 minutes he came and said, "You please come out." I said, "No, you just come out." When I came out, he told me, they were having video at the time. Two people. They said, they'll take a video of you, and then they will follow you up who is involved in this Islamic activities, and they will be simply deported back, putting some reason. In that way it was restricted. No Tabligh people, no Islamic this one. I was working in a refinery where there were nearly 5 to 7,000 employees, but not a single mosque in many acres of land. Not a single mosque. Everybody has to pray in their own office room. In that way they were actually fooling people by, and always he will be seen in Navy uniform, Air Force uniform, military uniform, like that.
So you projected.
And his death was, I was very happy when he died, and this one, in that way. Yeah.
Coming back to Wanimadi, so I guess after your stint in Libya and Saudi Arabia, so how did you start in Wanimadi?
Actually, he was totally inspired by Kaka Muhammad Zubair Sahib. He is my uncle also, and he was guiding us and all. Then when I came here after, before going to Libya and before going to Saudi Arabia itself, we started this Al-Huda school. Friends group we joined, and then we started this Al-Huda, and later on it became this one. Initially we started in Neilfield, one small house, then we shifted here, and then it progressed well, and I was involved in Al-Huda. I went back to Saudi Arabia, and I was able to collect some small money from all our people from Wanimadi and send it to this school also. In that way I got involved. When I came back in here, I was involved in this VMA society. Myself and our friends group were all involved, and slowly we got into this.
So let's speak on your business. How did you start? How did you said you inherited it from your grandparents?
I started business with my brother-in-law, Tika Atif, and myself and Tika Altaf and Nawaz Al-Abdurrahman. We were all together. We had a tannery and we had a garment factory. Slowly we all split, and I came up. Then we started with the agency, foreign agencies. Slowly it's picked up and it's independent. Then I have given it to my children. We are following.
So, of all things, we were part of a lot of social projects in Wanimadi and was part of Wanimadi. So, is there any one project that you are especially proud of? That I was happy to do that.
Yes. Starting off with Women's College. That was a big challenge for us. You may not be aware, the inspiration behind this Women's College were Kaka Zubair Sahib, Hima Abdul Rahim Sahib, and Motu Nazir Ahmed Sahib. These three people, they wanted to start this Women's College. Had we started the time when they told us, our college would have been aided college. Because of the opposition from people in Wanimadi, we were not able to do it. And when we started this, it is a self-financing course. Had we listened to that time, we were all supporting them, but the majority of the people, some other people who are now involved in the Women's College, they are all opposing that at that time. It was big, and actually big general body meeting only, but they opposed it. So we have to go back on low life for many years, and then we started. Otherwise, it was a dream of Kaka Muhammad Zubair Sahib, Motu Nazir Ahmed Sahib. These three people were behind this project, and later on we stood by Kaka Zubair Sahib. Brought this, and all our friends, a lot of friends were there. Fazal, A.D. Fazal, and our Mandi Farooq, Mandi Aslam, all these people were supporting it. Malang Aslam especially, and Professor Nasrullah was one person from this teaching group. He was backing us and all.
I guess it's been like 3 decades. Women's College of Science.
25 years, almost 25 years. Yes.
So, what are the societal change that we see in Wanimadi due to Women's College that you think is due to Women's College?
Previously, in the invitation we get from Wanimadi, no degree was mentioned of the girls. Now almost every other card we see that the girl has graduated. They write BSc, BA and all that. like that. It's a big thing, and cultural change is also there completely. Girls are very bold enough to face people, and these girls have been taking part in state level competition and winning prizes, and especially with the American Access program, you will be surprised to know that recently we conducted and we have getting praise from even the American consulate. They are coming and saying that your girls are performing very well, and this Access program in Islam High School, Boys School, I think in the whole of Asia we are the only person to get this continuously for 5 years. All places they do it for 2 years and then they close it. But for us it was 5 years because of the performance of the especially girl students. They are doing remarkably well. And one girl has gone to the States also. Actually we got a chance many years before, but the girls, they said they want to go. And finally their parents came and said, no, we don't want to send. Visa was arranged, but this last year one girl went there to Colorado and she came and gave a lecture. It was fantastic.
So now you're a secretary and correspondent of Women's College.
Yes.
So what is your future plan for girls' college, Women's College? Sorry.
The good.
How do you want to develop? Like, since you were one of the key person to start the.
Yes, we are all involved. I wasn't the key person. I was one of the person, I can say, but it was it's an excellent thing that has happened to Wanembadi, that Women's College has been opened, and can you imagine that we are will be surpassing men's college strength very soon.
That's great.
Yeah, 2,400, 800 something is there in men's college. We are nearly 2,400. And number of courses are more there. Here number of courses less. But only problem is, had it been in aided pattern, this would have been a marvelous thing for us. But still, it's a very good thing that has happened to us in Wanembadi, because they were objecting even for the place where we started. That place was very near to Perumalpet. All this nonsense was there. We did not. We have to fight. We have to fight tooth and nail to start this classes. And Mullah is also opposing it, like that.
So you mentioned the girls' strength were surpassing the boys'
very soon,
men's
yeah.
college.
Inshallah, very soon.
So very soon. So some people might say it might be because a lot of the boys prefer VIT or going to new college in Chennai over the men's college.
Percentage is very less. Hardly in VIT this year, I feel, because of that this pandemic, nearly 10 boys got admitted in the arts and science courses. BTech is almost out of reach for us, because that's a different ball game altogether by the VIT people, you know. But the surpassing is new college. Also, very few people only go there, not all. Some people who have a facility and they're well off, they go there and like that way. And for architect, and this is different thing, engineering. Otherwise, they'll surpass. And girls are studious. That is another thing.
So yeah, so all the things you have done in Wanembadi, including starting a women's college, is there any one project that if you got a chance to do it again, that you would have done it differently, or you have done it more?
Yes. I tried for an architect college, not through VMSIT, but through some other source, and everything was arranged. We would have got the permission, but last minute some internal thing happened and the project was shelved. Had we started engineering architect college, this was before even VIT started this, and Visharam College started. My aim was this. I did not go to VMCT for this project, because here the first question they ask is it co-education? In government college, architect and all, we cannot say that it can be only for men, because the quota will be there for 50% quota. So that was one thing shelved up. Second thing was law college. When I tried to start law college, there is a moratorium on law colleges. In all India level, they said we cannot start law college for 3 years. I think now it's 2 years. Next year we may, that moratorium will end. And it is because in Andhra and Bangalore, after every three house, there is one law college. and they are just giving degrees by taking money and all. So that is the reason why Government of India has taken a step to stop the law college. These are two projects. Architect we may not go, no, because now a lot of colleges have come here. Law college is not there in the whole of our Vellore district, and law college in VIT in Chennai is superb, something like that. They have built a artificial court, something like Supreme Court, where they teach students to argue the cases like that. In that way we can do here also. And again the problem of co-education will come, then I don't know how to solve that one. But if we're doing for Al Huda, I don't have any problem at all. We'll go ahead with that.
We'll come on that later. So apart from education institution, you were also part of the Yashvin Hospital. You were,
Yes.
yeah. So can you
Yes. Actually, behind this project is Dr. Mahmood, Dr. Khalid Mahmood. We were just we were involved in this Al Huda. He called me once and said, "You are doing this one. Just fine. You go ahead with that. But you just go to the general hospital and you just see the suffering of the Muslim woman there." When he compelled, many times he compelled me. I said, I'll go. I just ignore. I was not aware that so much people go there and stand in the queue and all these things. I went there and I was shocked to see many Muslim women, poor women, standing in the queue and going to see the doctor. And number of doctors also were very less at that time in the government hospital. It was they were ill-treated.
You were also involved in Yashvin Hospital. So
Yes. Initially, one initial meeting was held in the compound of Taj Club. Myself, Ghani Javid, and Professor Nasrullah, and Iqbal, not Dr. Iqbal from Delhi, Jamiatul Ulama Hind, one person. We all sat together and decided we should start something for this one. And then we again consulted Dr. Aziz Rahman and your grandfather. And they also said we are started in Baitul Mal with the BUMS, but it's not running well. You have to be very cautious in studying. We said we'll take a chance, and we started here in this clinic in Neelfield. It was running very well. People were fully satisfied, and we had night service also. And Dr. Akbar, present, who is there, he was in the night duty also, like that. But slowly, this Vellore Abdullah Basha Sahab and his family, they called us and said, I'm going to construct a hospital here. You people can shift. We all agreed. We were happy to see a 3-story building coming up, and for that, I traveled up to Saudi Arabia to collect funds, and Rahib told me to go to London also. I went there also to collect funds, but we did not materialize in London, but they said they have some restrictions like. And in Saudi Arabia also not much was given, because at that time they were involved in this Afghanistan. All their funds were diverted to Afghanistan, but still ML Fazal and Patel Khalil, these two people, and Kaka Saeed sir especially, he helped us a lot in getting some small amount, but later on local people only helped us to establish nearly, I think, 45 to 50 lakhs we have invested in the hospital for various equipments, beds and everything. Total, only building was given to us by Vellore Abdullah Basha Sahab, and we invested in it. It went on for some time. Then we started, Dr. Iqbal was also involved in this. He is, you know that he is from London only. He was involved. Then the hospital picked up. After some time, when he suffered a mild heart attack and he did not come, so slowly we started detailing, and we are not able to pay the rent to him. So he said, I have to take this. Problems were created, so we just left it like that. And we are not involved. We left all the equipment just like that. We have to pay him rent for 11 months or something like that. We did not pay, nor did he. Ambulance service started, and it was not successful, because for ambulance, if you have to start, you have to have drivers for 3 shifts. Every 8 hours, one driver has to be there, so that when they call, they have to go like that. So, and then we shelved that program, and everything we left and came out high and dry, you can say.
So, going back to the education, you, before in interview, mentioned that there are a lot of opposition from Mullah type. and there were also like opposition from the society to start women's college.
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
also for the starting engineering, architecture, or law college
Yes.
for women. So how do you see that problem? What can be done about it, or how do you intend to solve that problem in future? As you mentioned, you wanted to start law college as soon as the moratorium ends. in
Yes,
Kerala.
yes, inshallah.
So
It
how
should.
do you think?
No, totally. What we have is a mentality of VM society. For everything, we look forward to VM society, and it's because it has a lot of places. And for example, starting women's college was difficult because for 2 years we have to have so much of infrastructure. We did not have funds, so we have just shifted to this. What do you call that? IT. Originally, that building was ITC building.
Yeah.
Originally it was. So we shifted there, and we because the hostel building was vacant. After the PUC finished, the hostel building was just, both the buildings were lying vacant. So we shifted there, and for that also you'll be surprised to know that people have written to Saudi Arabia saying that these people have converted that IT building into women's college. You have given the fund for IT building and all. But luckily at the time I was there, and ML Fazal, we both went and represented the matter, saying that this is the same institution only, but we are going on. They said, okay, it doesn't matter like that. And if people go to that extent to stop the women's college, they wrote to Jeddah, that IDB, Islamic Development, because there is a bill, Islamic Development Bank Islamic Development Bank people only gave the fund to build that ITC. Nearly 80 lakhs, that was total amount for the construction of that building and all this. The opposition was hopeless. We used to have sleepless nights. We don't know what tomorrow will be, and what sort of notice will be against us.
So, is there any one project that you didn't get the chance to do in your whole life till now, that you always wanted to do?
Not any particular thing. I sail with the times.
So I guess
Whatever.
you have accomplished everything.
Huh?
You have accomplished everything.
No, not like that. I cannot say that. I cannot claim that. But whatever came our way, and whatever a friend circle, we had a good circle at the time. For example, starting Al-Huda, you can just take. I just called for a meeting. 50 people only were there. Still 50 are there only. So some people have expired, but 50 people I called in my house, and we had a meeting in the morning, and we were able to start that. And later on, the first funding was done by Janab Palan Haji Khalil Rahman Sahab. He donated 25,000 rupees. At the time, our budget was itself only 16,000 rupees per annum. He donated 25,000, and slowly, then school became. We were contributing, and every member was supposed to contribute something. We contributed some years. Later on, the school became self-sufficient, like that.
So, how do you want to see the Vanimadi in a decade or two?
The worst thing which has happened during my lifetime, what I have observed is, I used to come from my grandparents' house, that is Kaka Zubair Saab's house in New Street, up to Fort. I used to see only Muslim shops, Muslim business people everywhere. But even a small tea shop will be belonging to Muslim, and big shop also belongs to Muslim only. But of late, I've seen in every place, whether it is CL Road or Malang Road or Muhammad Ali Bazaar, everywhere the other community people are dominating, and we don't know. The same shop, provision store, when we are running, it's not running, but at the same time other people come and they do business very nicely. Especially this Rajasthanis are totally indirectly dominating us without our own knowledge, like that. For example, just take the jewelry, by only one Muslim, 2 Muslim shops are there, and all, and you will all not know, even we do not know that the whole area belonged to Muslims. They were houses. Marwadi Street, Amurpet, totally it was Madekar family people had lot of houses there. Other people had houses. Everything was sold and gone. And they are trying to enter New Street also. Through that, buying that house means they can. Kondalam people are resisting that, but I don't know how long they will resist.
Propose to undo that. How do you have?
No, unless we become active and stop pulling everyone's leg. I think we can halt this down, slide. We are in the sliding side. It's an all India basis also the same thing. We have to stop this slide. We have to put efforts and concentrate, and this silly thing about religious, this one, all these things, we should avoid this. Criticizing others, and that is the one thing. Unless we, not only in talk that we are united, we should practically do this. I mean, we can stop the slide. Stopping slide is the main task now. The community should come up, and everybody should get involved in the social activities, helping each other and all this. And we can help, and education is also important there. And especially I see that when I see the parents coming, the other community people, they come and simply get admission and pay the fees. Whereas our community people, they come, they fight, they argue, and they don't want to pay the fees. Minimum possible. This is not the attitude. We tell them, this is a self-financing college. Unless you pay, we cannot pay the salary. They don't bother about it. This is the big drawback we have in our community. I don't know whether they are really suffering or genuinely or something like that. I don't know. It's very difficult to handle them. See, we have admitted now 700 and something students. Nearly 700 students have been admitted. For 700 parents, we have to tackle differently. I am lost actually. What I am there, I don't know in that way. Psychology, financial, and they come and discuss their, they start from COVID. I said COVID is only from past 3 months. First year the fees they are due. Now they are in final year, and you will be surprised when the outgone students are there who have not paid their final year fees. They are trying to take advantage of the institution. See, if they take advantage, institution will fall. Individually may be benefited, but what about the institution? The institution has to progress. And because of this financial difficulties, for past 4 months, we have deducted in every institution in VM city 30% salary. They are paying only 70%. From this month onwards, we are paying them full, but still the due is there in that way. And this has happened in every ways, but in our community, unnecessarily they are trying to take advantage.
So you have mentioned the name of Kaka Zubair Saab and his
Yes.
contemporaries a lot of time in this interview.
Yes.
That he was your inspiration.
Yes. For all of us, for our generation,
Yeah.
we have grown old, but they were the inspiration for us.
So who else you were looking up to of your seniors?
The whole Kaka Zubair Saab is the dot in the circle. He was the main person. He only brought us all up from, to tell you, the whole team of youngsters. I mean, at that time we were youngsters, not now. When we were youngsters, he came directly to Aludha school, and we were having our executive meeting there. He said, all of you should come to and work here. I said, we are having meeting. Cancel this meeting and come and join that meeting, he said. In that way, he compelled us to, all of us, our whole group went there, and we supported him for this women's college issue and other things. And at the same time, but he was having good support from Tima Abdur Rahim Sahab and Motor Nazir Ahmad Sahab, and some other people also were there. Beside Kaka Zubair Sahab, I was most impressed by हमारे Matekar Jamil Sahab. His selfless service and devotion, dedication, and his translation of Quran into Tamil. So it was all surprising for us, the way in which he worked, and he wanted us to get involved in all the social activities. And he was not happy that I was only working for Aludha. He was asking me to get involved in all the activities. He was one person like that, and I was actually surprised. We were all surprised because Cat Stevens, as you know, Yusuf Islam. He came to Colombo, and from Colombo he wanted to come to Chennai only to meet Jamil Saab, no other person. That was the biggest year. Cat Stevens was a famous pop singer with the platinum album, so Alag Chai World uska. Wahan se he has converted, and he said, he gave me example of Cat Stevens. He does not want to work with any other thing other than primary education. aim of Cat Stevens is only to improve primary education of new Muslims or Muslims like that. He was not considering anything else. He was quoting me for that Aluda case. I can only work for Aluda, not bola nako. That is Cat Stevens ka वैसा problem था. And he called from then he could not make it to Chennai. He called Jamil Shah from Colombo and said, "I'm sorry that I could not make it to Chennai. I'm going back to rural thing." I was practically witnessing that in his office in Chennai, and he used to come to our mandi also sometimes. Just like that, he'll casually come and discuss about social problems and all these things.
Sometimes the leadership drives.
Leadership drives, yes.
To get you back on the topic of, you mentioned from communities from Rajasthan were dominating service and sale business in Mohammed Ali Bazaar.
Yes.
So one would say that it's a natural market force that is happening. It's not that they are doing some cunning or backstabbing that they are driving Muslims out of the business. It's because Muslims are moving out of Anibadi to, as you mentioned, IT field in Chennai and Madras. So they are like filling up the vacuum. So how?
The important thing is, it is from Rajasthan. They come. They say with the dhoti and lotha they come. And here later on they develop. But one important thing about their community is they are united so much. If one businessman fails, the whole community supports him and they make him stand. This same thing is happening with the Bohras also. Bohras and these people are doing that. It's not that I'm saying that they are trying to drive us out or something. It is our this one that we are losing the business to them. We should match business skill with business skill, not with the religious sentiments.
Yeah.
We should fight with them on same scale. Just because and for example, now I'll tell you, Rajasthan people see the cunningness of them. Are you all aware that there is a big group of Rajasthani women and children staying in Tirupattur? And their job is to because of the pandemic they are not coming. Otherwise, you would have seen a lot of Muslim women wearing burqa and keeping a child in their hand, burqa women. But they were all non-Muslims in Rajasthan. Can you imagine that? Because I have interviewed many women, I'll ask them, they'll speak in Urdu. They will not answer. Tamil Malum because the big house there in the I know the place also that next that bone setter is there one orthopedic people. Next to that street there's a big house they have rented and they are coming and begging in Pennapet, Ahambur, Visharam and this one wearing burqa, bringing a child, sitting outside the mosque, coming to the houses like that. Even in begging they are innovative. Later on the business. And they practically, very difficult for me to convince people not to give them. Not because that they are deserving, they are disguised. Like that. They are very enterprising people, community. Marwadis and Rajasthanis or Patels and all, very enterprising. Recently I saw on WhatsApp, number of people, all top level people are Gujaratis. Right from Prime Minister to Home Minister, everybody, and like that. In that way, they are enthusiastic.
People usually compare Gujus with Mallus, Keralites.
People,
Gujus with Mallus,
Malayalis, huh?
Yeah, they have the same attributes.
Yeah, they have the same. Very nice people. Really one surprised me was one of my nephew went to not London, somewhere else, and it's a hill station, I believe. They went there from with the family. They went there. Can you imagine one Malayali in freezing cold, and people are stopping their car, and the big crowd. He's selling samosas and tea. The favorite, he says nobody can imagine that somebody will go up to that level and that height and that freezing cold. He said everybody, whether they are English or everybody, they come and stop and buy that. In that way, they are enterprising in this one.
Shop in Bangalore and Chennai are dominated by Mallus.
Any?
Bangalore and
Yes.
every corner shop.
Every corner, Dubai, they are dominating completely. And I've seen in Saudi Arabia, one Malayali comes to one office, and later on, that office gets converted into Malayali domination. In my office, it was a Norwich Insurance, that is England, Switzerland. Out of 10, 6 were Malayalis. Only 1 or 2 Saudis and myself and another one from Hyderabad were Muslims, Urdu-speaking people, but all Malayalis. They have that unity, very nice unity among themselves. But Malayali Muslims were dominating here also sometimes in shop and all, but slowly they have disappeared now. And
so what do we take away from this comparison? What do we take away from this comparison?
We have to work hard. That's the best thing, competition. Instead of sitting and saying that fellow has taken my business, we have to do. I'll tell you an example of Sivkasi. In Sivkasi, match industry is famous throughout India. What happened was, the people who were selling chemicals from Rajasthan, they were selling chemicals to the Sivkasi people, match industries. When they saw the sale is very high, those people, they came from Rajasthan, opened chemical shops in Sivkasi. Slowly they started giving this, they are all, mostly Chettiars were there, Chettiars or something, other community people. They were selling chemicals to them. Slowly they made them pay later on. Like whatever, here we have chemical people giving us full time. Like that, a day will come when that fellow will not be able to pay this. Then they have purchased their land, they have purchased their factory. Now it is not in our hands at all. Our sense, in the sense, our Tamil speakings, is not in their hand. Totally taken by the Marwadi lot. Just because chemicals they brought from Rajasthan and started selling this. This happened some 20-30 years before. Otherwise, it was Sivkasi was famous for his calendars and all these things. But the chemical business, they dominated. The same thing what they do here also, selling us chemical for 6 months, 1 year, and they charge heavily on that.
You would say find for every small opportunity, then do things continuously without losing perseverance.
Without
Losing perseverance.
perseverance.
Yeah. Without being impatient. Do things without stopping. Yeah.
We have to do that. Everybody has to join hands and slowly help each other. That way we can stop this slide.
So you have traveled internationally, as I said, Libya, South Libya. So how do you compare those communities and what do you see them? What you see them and us, like Indian communities, especially like Vanimari?
Vanimari Indians, as far as religion is concerned, we are also equal to them only in that way. But otherwise, enterprising is their culture is totally different.
They in the sense Libyan or?
The Libyan is nothing, because in all government employment there are no private enterprise. Everything was controlled by the government. Now it's a big problem there. In Saudi Arabia, at least people are there who are doing a lot of business. Emiris are dominating there. Very nice there. And Saudi Arabia, Jeddah was especially a lovely place to live in. Excellent it was. Religious wise, Mecca was very near, and people also were very nice people only there.
So to close off, what message would you give to the youngsters of Vanimari? Like how do we have to deal with the future, like uncertainty in economic terms as well as in political terms, and how do you suggest us to overcome that?
No, we should be equally involved in economic activities, equally involved in politics, not totally based on
totally based on identity.
Identity, yes, Muslim identity. You should mix with everybody and say to it that we extract work from other people for our community. That's a very important, very diplomatically we have to do it. And for example, now this, take the example of Owaisi. He is creating a false, followers. We have seen for the past many years, wherever there is a Muslim domination, he goes and cuts the vote. In Maharashtra he has won once, but in other places wherever he has gone, and with few number of votes, Muslims have lost from other this one. his Muslim identification is not there actually. Generally people believe that he is agent for someone else, and
But people look up to him because he is a very outspoken.
Outspoken.
He's also like a.
No.
He's not of your normal kind. He is
No,
a
no.
very well-educated barrister.
Barrister, very nice, but he we all believe he speaks after getting the permission from the other people. I have to oppose this. You have to bear with me, but actually I'll be. You see the election results. If you see that, then you can understand that. He speaks very nicely, and he always speaks for the sake of Muslim. But but his actions are different from what he speaks. We will be fooled by his this one, and sometimes it may be helpful to us. But all his rhetorics, we can say this is only practically it's not helping us. But when he speaks in Parliament, he is excellent. It's very nice to hear. But when his activities comes to this one, he splits the Muslim vote. That is a big drawback for us. No, definitely we have to have a leadership crisis is there from long time back. For example, you may not be aware that there were nearly 56 assembly members in Tamil Nadu Assembly, and they were all Muslims. This I have seen in one of the dairies in the list where the Ho and Company dairy was there. In that, there nearly 56 or something were.
I think the times of Khadim.
Yes, Khadim Millat time only. At the time, Khadim Millat was a very nice person, and like that he had leadership. Even Nehru respected him, and you may not be aware of the fact that Nehru offered him to leave Muslim League, and he offered him a big plot in Mount Road. He said he was living in a different house, and Nehru offered him a big plot, but he refused. That level of leadership we require, and even though it was a Muslim League, they said they were responsible for going, but we stayed here. So it was only our loyalty only to the nation, like that only. And we should definitely, but lacking, I'm not saying that we should not support person who is really, for example, Abul Kalam Azad was there, Zakir Hussain was there, all these people were nice representatives of Muslims only, and Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad. And in locally, if you take Maulvi Abdul Haq Sahab was there in Chennai, and Bukhari Sahab was also a good representative. Like that way we have to look for. But here the problem is national level leader, leave alone national, we don't have even the state level leader who can represent us. And Oasis gimmicks, I don't agree, but the way in which he speaks, I love it. In the parliament, standing boldly and saying this, it's all there. We have to.
On a tangent topic, between being consumed by national politics and local politics and having a very cosmopolitan view and goal, how do you, which one do you prefer for the current young people to have?
No, we should not based on religious this one. We should go for overall. We should, if possible, we should have a non-Muslim representing us, our cause, instead of making a Muslim leader and then following him up, and it becomes a biased system. Especially now, this atmosphere which the BJP has created, they have successfully created this, that anti-Muslim wave. We should take the help of non-Muslims better, I think, and follow them in the sense, it will be secular. People who are secular, a lot of people are secular. We can take their help instead of representing as a Muslim and then getting thrashed out. We can have somebody who speaks on our behalf. A lot of people are coming out like that only. I don't remember the name, but recently I've seen some of the videos where they are openly supporting Muslim cause and this one. But
taking your interview as being a businessman and not talking about leather industries won't be possible. So how do you see leather industry at current stage? Because we have just passed the pandemic stage, lockdowns and all, and we know that leather industry is the top luxury products come out of it. So how do you see leather performing in the market? And we still see that lot many cities where malls have not been open.
But the main biggest competitor is our artificial leather only. They are, can you imagine, one of the biggest factory, they are making shoes in artificial leather. They are leather factory. They are making more this artificial shoes and selling it for $10 instead of $30 for leather shoes. So people are shifting to that. We have to be cautious on that, and the government policy is altogether different thing. Can you imagine that many of the slaughterhouses were closed in UP? Lot of people were on the streets, but some of the big houses, big slaughterhouses. But what Yogi says one way correct in the sense, he wants cleanliness and license to operate. So some of the very big business still in the hands of Muslims only, slaughterhouses, and they are maintaining it very clean and all these norms they are following. And about this effluent treatment plant, those people are doing very well. But all the small slaughterhouses, they have been closed, and butchers and all completely out of business. And this cow slaughter, and latest thing what you are seeing now is, I don't know whether you have seen that video or not, where he is giving a lecture to young girls saying that in every cow, all the gods, they stay there. Have you seen that lecture? No. He is showing the parts of the cow and saying here Krishna is there, here Ram is there, like that one way. And he says you should not take milk. It's do not drink milk. That is indirectly, do not drink milk, he says, because the cow. He gives a lot of explanation. But what I feel is that's a prelude to ban beef. When you don't take the milk, why should you eat beef? That way they are slowly coming out. And I don't know whether if you have gone to Highway Hotel here, in Highway Hotel, not Sai Sangeet, Highway Hotel in Madras. When you enter the Madras, on the right side there is a hotel, highway. In that Motwal Highway, there I think I have seen one drawing of cow, and in that cow different parts they are showing the face of their gods and goddesses. In that way they are trying to brainwash us and everything, do like that. And biggest problem is the biggest, largest and wealthiest beef exporters are Marwadis and non-Muslims. Muslims are there, few, but Al-Kabir is totally Marwadi business, and everything they are dominating. And by banning this tanning industry in Kanpur, one of the tannery only was functioning, and that did not belong to us. It belongs to someone else. All the goods which were supposed to come to our tanneries have gone there, and they have no effluent treatment, nothing of that. In that way, that how we are going to counter that? Being a minority, it's become difficult for us to stand up to them and do things. But anyway, we cannot. But have you noticed? People from other business, they easily get into leather business. But this business, leather business in our blood is like a virus, it doesn't get at all. We don't change to the other side of any other business. Other than leather, we don't think of anything else.